Excellent. Hello, everyone. My name is Shama. I am with Girls and Geese. We are super excited today. We are back for yet another Real Talk segment. In this segment, we will be talking about issues related to veterans and how Brazilian Jiu Jitsu can help their transition, whether they are suffering from PTSD, whether they've developed chemical dependency, alcoholism, and if they are having a difficult time transitioning after the service. So today we have three amazing individuals on today that are going to be able to share some of their insight and experiences with us. We have Lisa Shackelford. She's a U.S. Navy veteran. She's been training Brazilian Jiu Jitsu for about 5 years now. She's based out of Mississippi. She's currently runs a program out of Ironworks Jiu Jitsu in Biloxi. She was a former We Defy sponsored athlete as well as an ambassador, and we're super excited to have her share her experiences. We also have Trey Bellups. She's a 7-year Army veteran. She was deployed to Jordan. She's originally from Colorado. She's a blue belt. She's practicing on and off since 2006. She's also a Mission 22 ambassador. Last but not least, we have Tim Pharo. He is a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu instructor for Warrior's Heart. Warrior's Heart is an organization which provides treatment for active military veterans, first responders that are suffering with addiction, chemical dependency, and PTSD. So thank you all for being on today. I really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your schedules to be a part of this discussion. I want to go ahead and open it up with a question for all of you, and feel free, how this works is it's just an opportunity for us to have a discussion. Doesn't matter who goes first, so just go ahead and pick it up where whoever wants to take it. But what are some of the benefits that you've seen using Brazilian Jiu Jitsu as a therapy for veterans that have experienced trauma?
Well, I can start off. I gotta say real first, I'm not with Warrior's Heart full time anymore. I'm actually working at Brooke Army Medical Base with that, like, active duty service members, but I'm still a part of the Warrior's Heart Jiu Jitsu program. So I still train with those guys and with Josh Lannon and so all those clients out there. But to your question, I didn't get to actually, I was introduced to or got into Jiu Jitsu like back in 2012, 2013. And I've been in mental health for like 16 years now. And I've always had the thought and the idea like, man, this is such a great martial art. This is it's great to help with anxiety and trauma. When I got an opportunity back in 2017 to come out to Warrior's Heart, the founders, Tom Spooner, Josh Lannon, and Lisa, they incorporated jiu-jitsu in their program as far as with addiction and trauma and how to heal. And so I was really excited to come on board with them and actually got to use jiu-jitsu with my clients and see the progression of how they healed and how it brought the depression and anxiety down, their overall functioning and confidence. So it's amazing, and I wish, like the insurance companies and kind of everything kind of would catch up to the evidence-based, methods that we use in mental health to use this as a tool, to help with not just, veterans, but anybody that's, been traumatized and dealing with, severe anxiety and depression and whatnot.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Lisa? I know that you worked with, with I don't know if you worked directly with them with We Defy, but I know that you worked with the organization for some time.
Yeah, some of the benefits, me personally, that I've seen, and there's some other veterans that are working on some documentaries to also show the benefits of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and how it's positively helps veterans with PTSD and dealing with trauma. But personally, one thing that it's literally, it is my therapy. Every time I go train, it's my therapy. Even if I'm depressed or I have a lot of anxiety, and some of those times I don't want to go. I don't feel like going, but I just make myself go. And then when I do go, I'm so glad I went, and I feel a lot better. It's definitely improved my overall mood. Probably just probably about 2 years ago. It's funny. Even my kids said, "Mom, you're just so much nicer now that you're training jiu-jitsu." I'm like, well, yeah. It helps me with sleeping, because before I was on prescription medication for sleep. And so I don't have to take that. I do still take a sleep aid, but it's not prescription strength anymore. So it helps a lot with that. And yeah, it's definitely helps with quality of life. And so with We Defy, they are I'm excited to see some of the things that they're doing. They partner with Warriors Next Adventure. His name is Nicholas Ran. I butcher names too. But anyway, so he went around the country and met with different veterans, and he's putting together a documentary of all of these veterans that train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and how it has helped them with their addictions. It literally saved their lives. Instead of committing suicide, they're training Jiu Jitsu and they're on the mats. And so I've definitely seen it improves your mental state. It helps you, I think, long-term deal with some things, as far as you think, well, I'm going through this hard thing in life, but you've also experienced going through some hard stuff on the mat. You're stuck in bad positions and situations, and you just suck it up and deal with the discomfort and mentally work your way through it, and like, I'm not going to die. This is not going to kill me. It doesn't feel good, but I'm not going to die from this. So that translates over to life. We go through hard things, and sometimes life sucks, but it's not going to kill you. Like, you just keep pushing forward, keep going forward, and whatever that hard thing you're going through, it's going to end, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So
yeah, absolutely. What about you, Trey? Is there anything that you'd like to add? Anything that you've seen personally or with your work with Mission 22?
So how I describe Brazilian Jiu Jitsu to other veterans, it's literally a distraction from all the negative thoughts a veteran could be going through. So just getting on the mats, maybe getting your butt handed to you, maybe not. Either way, you're going to feel so much better. Leaving, you're going to forget about all those negative thoughts you had before you walked in.
Yeah, absolutely. What about transitioning? I mean, I can imagine that transition from being an active military and then transitioning into normal life, has to be really difficult. And that's whether or not you've seen action or not. What are some, how can Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu assist with that? Are there any elements in maybe the community or the activity that kind of helps and eases that transition into living the civilian life? You want to go ahead, Tim?
Yeah. So when you said that, the first thing I heard, really was transitions. And I mean, all of you know how quick transitions happen on the mat. And you're right, especially the longer, vets are in the military, the culture, the schedule, it's a huge adjustment. It's a huge adjustment. And a lot of times, vets, depending on how they complete or discharge, they go back into the military. But jujitsu and studying jujitsu, practicing it consistently, it does help, you accommodate when you got to transition. And obviously you all guys know like how quick those transitions happen on the mat. Sometimes, we're late, sometimes, and then we pay for it, and sometimes, we adjust and the better you get on the mat with transitions, at least in my experience, I found that the quicker you can adjust with the things that go on in day-to-day life, you know, and you don't freak out or spaz out on things that just don't go quite right all the time. You learn to pause and, okay, you know, like, we got to go a different way with this. So I think it's huge when it comes to going, you know, from the military to civilian life. You know, I didn't have that when I was transitioning, but I had a lot of good support, and you know, and was able to, you know, continue a different path, you know, into the mental health. And so, but I have learned through that, you know, being on the mat, how that translates to also other, you know, aspects of, you know, adapting to other things that, you know, life throws at us, you know. So
absolutely, yeah.
mm.
Absolutely. What about you, Lisa? Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I think for me, one thing that I did like about the military is I liked that the camaraderie. No matter where you went in the world, right? There is somebody that they got you, that you could connect with, regardless of what duty station you went to, and you know, you just spot military people out in town, you know, and you feel that connection. And so with jiu-jitsu, it's so much the same way. And I've cross-trained at so many different gyms, and I love that aspect of, I can just go walk into another gym and I feel that camaraderie with people I don't even know.
Yeah.
You know, and they get me and I get them, and it's like we all speak the same language. And because in the military, there is a military language, and if you don't speak it, you don't know what in the world people are talking about. So with jiu-jitsu, it's the same thing. We have our own language, it's our own culture, and no matter where you at, no matter where you go, you still kind of have that nice that connection and that bond with people. And I think that helps a lot of service members as well, because it sort of gives that back to them. Because when you're out in the civilian, when you go from military to civilian, they don't get you. Like, they really don't. They don't understand. They don't speak the same language. They don't, you know, it's, yeah.
Right.
I can definitely, I understand. I being a non-military individual myself, I that's one of my favorite parts of the jiu-jitsu, I guess, is the community, right? Is having that, you know, and I think that's so important. What about you, Trey? Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Sure. So I absolutely agree with Lisa with the camaraderie. You're not going to find that anywhere else. It's completely unmatched. So with transitioning, that's a very stressful event for any service member, no matter how long they've been in. Like, they've willingly gone into this different world, and when that journey is coming to an end, they're going back into the world they came from, and they may be completely uncomfortable with it. Being in Colorado Springs, especially, the military presence here is outstanding. So any jiu-jitsu gym you walk into, guarantee there's at least one vet that trains there or active service member. With that being the case, transitioning members will have, I believe, like a smoother transition out. They can network, maybe get that confidence back in finding whatever their new civilian job will be, or maybe starting school. So definitely having that presence on the mat is definitely, it takes a toll off.
Excellent. No, this is good information for those that are watching to get. So I know, you know, unfortunately, sometimes that transition is very difficult for people, and they have a really hard time reacclimating and adjusting, and it can cause individuals to kind of spiral out and make decisions that, you know, can potentially lead to loss of life. And so I don't know if any of you have any experiences or with this that you can pull from, but I thought it was really important that we discuss some of the warning signs that we can look for as teammates, as friends, as families, when somebody is in distress, when that darkness is kind of consumed, and when we should step up as individuals and give them a helping hand. So if you guys have any kind of advice that you can pull from this, I think that would be really beneficial for gym owners, teammates, family, and I'd really be interested to learn about your take on this.
I think one big thing is to I know We Defy started a program called the Athlete Engagement program, and so what they do is they have a team that contacts all of the sponsored athletes and checks in with them consistently. And so I know a lot of military members. I mean, we've had a lot of loss in our home personally. I mean, just constantly. Another friend has committed suicide. Another friend, and you hear a lot of times, well, why didn't they reach out? I told them I would be there for them. They didn't reach out to me. I didn't even know anything was wrong. They didn't say anything. And the thing is, they're not going to come to you and say, hey, I'm thinking about killing myself. My life has fallen apart. And so I think what's important is to start to recognize when they maybe start pulling away, sort of isolating and distancing themselves from people, when they start missing time at the gym, when they're just not there as consistently, also sort of their demeanor when they are there. If they just feel like, they just seem like, hey, I suck, like I just can't do anything right, sort of defeatist feeling. But also others, they hide it really well. Everything's great, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden, so I think the biggest thing is to really work on forming a one-to-one connection with the veterans in the gym. Somebody that, even if you're pairing up two veterans with each other to help them sort of become accountability mentors to each other, so that they always have someone that they can talk to, regardless, no matter what time of night. And my husband's got that for some buddies that he's gone through, and he's gotten some text messages at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and he's there. And so I think that that personal relationship connection with these veterans is absolutely vital, because they're not going to reach out. They're not going to come tell you that they're struggling. I'm sure there's more, but those are just
and I completely agree with what Lisa's saying. Like, it's really more about the prevention than it is the crisis intervention, because when we get to a crisis, and these, when we're talking about suicide and veterans, it's we're late. Like, we're behind the 8 ball, and we've got to do things like be more proactive, like Lisa's talking about. And We Defy is great, and that's why I liked it. With We Defy, like, these gyms got to be vetted, like they have to, be a We Defy certified gym. And so, part of that, those instructors that are, We Defy, vetted, that they know that what they have in their gym, and those guys in there, we got several vets, that are in our gym, and, we, check in on each other, like Lisa's saying. I think the relationship piece that she's talking about, like, that's more likely, they're going to talk, and they're going to, and when they trust and that relationship is intact, they're going to, let you ask them a question, like, how you doing? They're going to answer, you honestly. But if that relationship isn't there, like, we're in trouble, and that's a huge, problem in the veteran, in the military community, where we're trying to, reach out, and let these guys talk. Because a lot of times, when they're in the military, they kind of get, when they're encouraged to talk, then they kind of feel like they're punished for it sometimes, and or they get some kind of privilege or some kind of opportunity taken away from them. So we're fighting against that kind of dynamic too, so I think, like she's saying, that if we can develop the relationship, mats give us a great opportunity to do that, we can really put a dent in the suicide rate. And so, yeah.
No, I appreciate you guys sharing that. That's some really good information. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Trey, to that?
Sure. I think identifying isolation is going to be a huge thing. Like Tim and Lisa said, veterans are not going to reach out willingly. And me personally, how I interpret that, that could be a sign of weakness, and being military affiliated, you know, that we're the opposite of that. So definitely getting that trust with the veteran and noticing the isolation, I think, is going to be key to building that relationship. I would say starting it out with reaching out to them and then letting them pick the location where they would feel most comfortable and safe with talking to someone, not putting pressure on them to talk. Kind of letting them come to you once you've identified the isolation step.
Yeah.
That's all very good information. Do you think it's important to have veterans within the, I know you talked about it a little bit, having a support system, at least your husband, he has someone he helps and connects with. Do you think it's important for, I'm trying to think along the lines of academies and setting up some kind of a system. And is it important to maybe have academies have some kind of veterans program where you have veterans working with other veterans to kind of help provide that support? Is that something, or is there any other ideas that you can think of for academy owners out there that maybe know that they have individuals that are at risk of you know, going into crisis mode? Are there any other ideas that you could have, or what are your thoughts on, does it have to be somebody who's a veteran that's helping other veterans? Is that something that's important?
I don't think it necessarily has to be another veteran. We have a gym here in Ocean Springs, and the gym owner, he's not a veteran, but he has veterans that train at his gym. And because of that relationship that he's cultivated with them, you know, he talks to them, he connects with them, he lets them know, like, hey, I don't care what situation you find yourself in. I don't care what, like, nothing that you do or say, like, you know, is going to shock me. If you're struggling with drugs and like, hey, I'm about to shoot up or whatever, and you call me, like, I'm not going to judge you or be like, oh, don't do that. You know, I'm like, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to help you. And so because he's fostered that kind of relationship, they feel safe going and talking to him, and they do. And so he has several veterans that come to him and they talk to him, and he's there for them. And, you know, if he needs to go, the same thing, talk to them in the middle of the night. They've called him in the middle of the night. He's talked to them. They know that he's a safe person and he's just a call away. So if you have somebody else who's a veteran, I mean, that's great, but really they just need to know that somebody is a safe person to reach out to that will not judge them, whatever they're thinking, whatever their mental state is at the time, just somebody who's going to listen and care.
Absolutely. And another thing too is, like, you know, martial artists, people that study jujitsu and they're not veterans, they're so much like veterans because it's a warrior culture, you know, like people that want to get on the mat and fight, they have the same kind of mindset, the same kind of attitude that a lot of veterans have. And like Lisa's saying, and that when that relationship is there, and you go into a gym and there's no veterans there, but you're doing jujitsu, studying jujitsu with these guys, they're going to bond very, very quickly, you know, very quickly, because they're very much alike, regardless, you know, if they were vets or not. They quickly can find common ground just because of that the martial art of jujitsu. So that's another important component, I think, why it's so important that we encourage, you know, encourage veterans to, you know, they want, most veterans I come across in active duty, guys and gals, they love the idea of jujitsu and practicing it and studying it more. So I think this is great for, the transition piece, and also building those friendships, to help prevent these type of things that we're dealing with.
I also think having like maybe veteran only seminars would help out a lot as well. But of course, at the same time, with military PTSD, it may not necessarily come from being in combat. It actually could come from other veterans. So maybe that individual being around civilians might be the best route for them to go. Maybe being around other veterans would actually make the situation a lot worse for them unknowingly.
Well, there's a guy named Joey Zente. Are y'all familiar with Joey?
I am. I was actually thinking about him just now. Yep.
Yeah, he runs Veterans Jiu Jitsu, and actually, it's an organization where it's free to veterans. So he's kind of in the Austin area. He's gradually expanding out. I know Warriors Heart has a relationship with him, but they if listeners can get in contact with Veterans Jiu Jitsu and Joey Zente, great guy. He's a Marine. And this guy, he offers, quality jujitsu to these guys if they're in the area, and helping them get set up and trained.
Absolutely, highly recommend.
Okay. Well, you guys moved right into my next question. Perfect. So what are some services out there for veterans in making that transition? Does the VA offer anything? Are there any other organizations that you're aware of that maybe the VA doesn't offer? Or for those listening today, can you maybe kind of explain some of the other services that you're aware of?
Well, being that I use the VA, I'm not, they're not. I mean, I like the VA. I encourage all veterans to use the VA system, right? Because it's important. They offer good care, but it's not perfect, right? I mean, nothing is perfect. So I haven't found or come across that they offer something like this, And again, I think jiu-jitsu is just, it's so it's building, right? But it's not caught up with like evidence-based, treatment modalities when it comes to mental health care. And that's, I think that's on the horizon. I think we need to advocate for that. But the ones that I know about are, like Lisa brought up, is We Defy and then Veterans Jiu Jitsu. I'm sure there's others out there. They're not coming to my mind right yet, but those are the two that are really good. And then, if you can just get into a gym, there's some guys that, train out of their garage, we got social media, there's so many ways to connect and find a place to train. So, but yeah, we definitely need more advocacy with jiu-jitsu and veterans and connecting them to gyms. And We Defy, I think, is one of the only ones that are on the front line with that. And I think that more people need to support and step up and help with getting this out to our service members.
What about you, Lisa or Trey? Is there anything else out there that you're aware of? Any other services that are available to veterans?
I think Tim pretty much nailed all the ones that I was thinking of too. I mean, yeah. So I agree with him. I think I know that there's been some studies that have been done regarding the benefits of jiu-jitsu for veterans in dealing with PTSD, depression, anxiety, and substance abuse and things like that. And so I agree. I think we really do need to keep advocating and pushing that, and hopefully more as more studies come out and documentaries and different things like that we can eventually get some things. Because me personally, this is a whole lot more valuable to me and works so much better than going and sitting on somebody's couch and spilling my guts out, like when I leave jujitsu, I feel a gazillion times better. I can't imagine feeling any better from getting up on somebody's couch and walking out their office, so
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm just curious, like what services does the VA offer as far as supporting mental health in transitioning, or if you've experienced trauma?
Well, the standards that they, like, they're just getting on board with TBIs and things like that, and trying to, treat some of that. That's just now starting, which that needed to be started like, 15 years ago. But the modalities they use, they prolonged exposure therapy. They use obviously medications. They use psychotherapy. Those are pretty much the standard what you would probably get in a mental health clinic. It's government, so they just stick with evidence-based stuff, which helps. Like it helps. It gives a good foundation. It helps people get unstuck. But the thing about like whole, wellness, like when you talk, you're talking about 1% of the population, right? The warrior culture, they're just a little bit different, when it comes to like when these evidence-based treatments get, validated, right? A lot of them aren't being validated under this population, right? It's more of the general population. And when you incorporate something like, exercise, like rigorous exercise, and then in problem solving that jiu-jitsu brings up, it really rapidly helps. And then you bring in the unity and the community, like you quickly get to where a person like a veteran or a service member can really get well a lot quicker. And they're more accepting of it. They're, then like Lisa was saying, like, do talk therapy, which I'm not down talk therapy. We got to have that. We do that. But when we augment something like, jujitsu and you just move, you get a lot further, a lot quicker.
Yeah.
When you're able to do it. And I've seen that firsthand. Like when I've worked with clients, I got to do both, right? And it makes a world of difference, and you get there a lot quicker. So that's just, my take on it and what I've seen. So
Excellent. Well, at Warrior's Heart, how is, I'm curious to see, because you guys had such a unique setup, right? And that's what kind of drew me to the organization. What were some things at Warrior's Heart that you saw that maybe can be duplicated in other places, or different strategies that they use to assist those that are suffering?
Well, they don't. So I think any facility can do it. It's just a matter of getting the right people. And they approach healing, like the whole person. They're not just targeting one specific modality and one specific thing. It has to do with the environment. It has to do with the culture, the language, like Lisa, the language you use, like everything that Warrior's Heart does incorporates what the veteran or what that population resonates to. And any facility can actually do it. You just got to spend a little time and try to understand this population, even with first responders, and these are some of the most important people in our country, because we wouldn't have a country like we do if it wasn't for them, so we got to take care of them, and any facility can do this, and it's, Warrior's Heart setup is no different than probably some other private facility, how they're set up, but they just incorporate, this other piece that I've never seen any other facility have. And that's the jiu-jitsu program, and of course the nutrition piece they take care of, but they take care of the whole person. And when you bring that component with jiu-jitsu in there, like it makes a world of difference. And even the guys and gals that don't participate in it, they appreciate it. They can appreciate it. So it's great, man. And I think Warrior's Heart's doing something that nobody else is doing in the country. and they're going to make a huge dent, and what they're doing and what their mission is. So I hope that other people can catch on. But yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I think, can I just tack something on to what Tim was saying? We were talking earlier about, the VA, and I think that some of the things that makes these other organizations with the added benefit that they're actually bringing, it's, the VA, like you were saying, the talking, medication, the therapies, that's important, but it's not holistic. As individuals, he's talking about that we need the extra step of, problem solving and health, and he brought up eating correctly, all those kind of things, because when you're training, you do want to eat healthier, because otherwise, you're just going to get murdered and you're not going to be able to recover well either,
Yes.
And so I feel like the jiu-jitsu piece, it adds the element of holistic health instead of just dealing with mental health, because there's just so much more than just your thought process that it mental health. It's exercise, it's diet, it's eating, it's all of those things that jiu-jitsu brings into it. And so, like you were saying, Tim, I think what you guys are doing is adding that other piece, which encompasses a holistic healing and holistic health for our veterans. So
thank you.
Excellent. So Trey, so you work with Mission 22. What are some of the services that Mission 22 offer, and are they along the lines of assisting in the way that we're discussing, or I'm just curious to learn more about the programs that they offer?
Sure. So what Mission 22 is a nonprofit organization, and really the goal is to support service members, veterans, and their families with the military member experiencing traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, and really just any other issues that they're going through. Some of the services offered, of course, we advocate for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I believe my state leader actually recently had a archery event for some veterans. So getting them outside, doing some team building activities. We do have a shooting team. I'm not sure if it's on the national level or not, but there is a shooting team. So that would be very, very comfortable and familiar with veterans.
Yes.
So I would definitely recommend any of those. I believe horseback riding, motorcycle riding, or some other events I've seen.
Yeah.
So definitely plenty of events to get veterans together. Just show them that they're not alone, show them a good time. We set up booths wherever we can, really. If you go to just any jiu-jitsu tournament, you'll see a booth maybe once in a while there. Anywhere where we can set it up and get the word out.
Excellent.
Nice.
What about We Defy, Lisa? I'm curious to learn more about what, we touched on it a little bit, but what are there any other programs, or what are some other things that We Defy does for those who are veterans? Oh, you're silent.
I did it so you can hear the background noise. I never know when my dog's going to go charge in the mail lady or something, Yeah. They well, since they really are jiu-jitsu focused, I mean, that's the whole reason they actually started the program. This is Joey Bozick and Alan Shabaro. Joey's a triple amputee, and so he started training jiu-jitsu, and he thought, hey, if this is helping me this much, I want to help other veterans. So they provide scholarships for veterans to train for free. So all of the money that's raised goes to sponsor a veteran for a full year. They also get 2 free gis. And so we're currently sponsoring 15 veterans every month. So 15 veterans get to come in and train for free at a We Defy Academy. Like Tim said, they have to go through a vetting process to be accepted. There's criteria we meet because we want to make sure that the We Defy academies are good, positive training environments for the veterans, because if it's a toxic environment, then it's just gonna make things even worse for that veteran. Right. And so unfortunately there are gyms out there that are toxic gyms. So so they go through that process. And so we also do galas and things like that to raise money, to raise awareness. I know they're trying to get more connected with corporations and more people in the civilian sector to get some help, and also to bring awareness to the benefit that jiu-jitsu does have on veterans. And so they're really, really working on trying to promote that. So.
Excellent.
Hey, Lisa, I wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I probably sent and applied 4 of my clients that are now sponsored athlete or sponsored with We Defy, but what can we do, and people that really don't know, maybe don't know a lot about We Defy, how can we support We Defy? I know there's so many guys that wanted. I know one challenge I came up against with We Defy is that there's not enough sometimes fun. There's a waiting list because there's so many people that want to be sponsored. And what can the community do to help augment some of that wait time?
Yeah, so what we've done a lot of fundraisers. There's fundraisers that We Defy does a lot. There's some I think grappling industries. We set up booths, we sell We Defy gear. There's a website where you can buy and purchase We Defy gear. We do for Memorial Day, Veterans Day, we do open mats. And the thing is, any gym at any time can just do an open mat and say, or do a seminar and say, hey, this is for We Defy. We're doing a minimum donation for whatever. Any gym can do that at any time that they want. They can just reach out to We Defy and be like, hey, we want to do a fundraiser. If you have some veterans or ambassadors in your area, connect and find out who those ambassadors are. Ask them hey, we're going to do this event. Can you get a box of gear and show up so people can buy t-shirts, hats, different gear at your events. So those are some different ways to just fundraise. And honestly, We Defy has been really good about trying to want people to kind of think outside the box of, I think we had one of our ambassadors, I want to say it was some kind of racing thing that she did for veterans. And they ended up raising something insane amount of over $10,000 that weekend. I mean, and it had nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. So it was absolutely incredible. So basically you can just get creative and do any kind of fundraiser that you want. You can do 5Ks, you can just do whatever you want. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking, because I know a lot of people want to partner, they want to help, they don't know.
Out with this last. So for anybody who may be watching this, who's struggling, who's thinking, I'm alone in this. Maybe somebody who is training, maybe somebody who isn't, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. For somebody out there that's watching that is struggling with the transition, with adjusting, and overcoming a trauma that was experienced while serving, what can you tell them as far as, what are some reasons why they should start on this jiu-jitsu journey? What are some things that they can get out of this?
Well, I would tell them that they deserve it. One, that they're worth the time. There's people that care about them, and that, there's life beyond what they're feeling and where they're coming from. I know that can be a hard space to be in, and hard to move, hard to pick the phone up, hard to do whatever, but that people care about you. care, have enough love for yourself to give it to, give yourself an opportunity to try, and reach out and use the people. I mean, there's people there's three of us right here, right? That, we get it, and it gets better. It gets a lot better.
What about you, Lisa? What would you like to say to those that are watching that are struggling?
One big thing is, I gotta say what Tim said too. You're worth it. You are valuable. You're irreplaceable. You're not a number. And there's people that love you, that are in your life, that are around you, that want you here. You have great value to bring to the people that know you, that you're in contact with, and you may not want to pick up the phone. You may not want to ask for help. You may think that you can do it by yourself and you don't need help, but we all need help sometimes. And there's no shame in needing help or asking for help. And any of us, you message me. You want to message me? Shoot me a message on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever. I don't care. Hit me up. You need to talk, we'll talk. Whatever you need. If you need to get plugged in with somebody, whatever resources I have, I'll get you plugged in. So, or message any of us here. We're more than willing to help you.
Anything you'd like to say, Trey?
I would say the hardest part is getting started.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just finding that gym you've been eyeballing for a while and just taking the first step and going inside and really see what it's about. Introduce yourself, see what other veterans or active service members are at that gym currently. Let them help you out, and any resources that you've received from serving, definitely use those. Don't put them on the back burner, and absolutely reach out. Like Lisa said, you can reach out to any of us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Was there anything else you guys would like to add? Anything we didn't cover today that you think is important for those watching to hear, understand, learn?
I think just to tack on to kind of what we all just said just now, that a lot of times we really feel like our feelings is reality,
Right.
without realizing that just because you feel a certain way does not mean that is reality. The reality is that sometimes there are hard things in life, and we all go through them. You're not alone. But the reality is there are people that love you, that care about you, and life does get better. Just because one day is a horrible bad day does not mean every single day is for the rest of your life is going to be bad and horrible. But there are good days around the corner. So don't base your reality on your feelings.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add, Tim or Trey?
No, I really appreciate you, Shama, like allowing this platform to happen and this discussion to happen. I mean, we need to be talking. The community needs to talk. Other veterans, they need, tell your story, good, bad, and ugly, of how things got better for you. Because I think when we all hear the sad stories, we all hear how bad people get it and have it, but we need to hear about like how someone got well, because when that individual is contemplating bad things, right, that when they can hear a success story and hear another one and hear another one, that's going to be the thing that I think that's going to really turn things around, when we can start telling our story more. And just keep training, keep connecting, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated.
I felt this was such an important topic. This is those who have served and haven't served, there are, similar issues in mental health and feeling lost. And for so many people, this is their therapy, right? We hear that all the time. So I thought it would be really awesome to have some individuals on that address a specific demographic that does, are experience things that civilians don't. There's an enhanced danger with serving in the military. There's a different community. So having you guys on was super important for us to be able to share your experiences, the work that you guys have done, and to let people know that are watching that they're not alone, and that there are services out there. But is there anything else you'd like to add, Trey?
I just want to thank you for this opportunity, allowing us to have this discussion and really getting the word out, because it is a huge problem in the veteran community. So it's definitely important to talk about it. The main goal across the board, doesn't matter which organization you represent, is we want to get that 22 number down to 0 as fast as possible.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of this discussion today. It was such a pleasure having all of you on. I learned a lot today, and I hope everybody that was watching at home did as well. If you are struggling, as I said, you are not alone. So please, reach out. If you're an academy owner and you start noticing a student is who has been struggling or has history, take that initiative, take the advice that these individuals offered today. And again, yes, let's bring that number 22 down to 0. Absolutely. And I think by working together as a community and addressing each other's needs, we can make strides towards that. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, everybody, for watching at home. And it was a pleasure having all of you on. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experiences with us.
Thank you.